Good morning, eighth grade. We are moving on today to section 8.3, where we start to get into some different patterns of inheritance. I just want to go over your work for today. Make sure you're watching this lecture. And then there's also, I'm going to post a Bozeman Science video that deals with this, but you only have to watch the first 3 minutes of it. Beyond that, he gets into stuff we're not going to cover. So don't watch beyond the first 3 minutes. And then there's a little Google form that demonstrates to me that you actually watch this video. And it's important that you watch this video because the Punnett squares that we're going to be doing in this section are a little more involved than the ones from last section. And so I want to make sure you understand them as we move forward. For homework this evening, you need to take the 8.2 open note quiz. I need that done by Wednesday. Now, I have not yet posted the answers to the 8.2 Punnett Square questions that we were supposed to do, the worksheet, because some of you didn't do it, or some of you didn't show me any Punnett Squares, so I can't give you any credit. And so you have today to get that in. If I don't get an updated version of it with all of your work, then I can't give you credit for the assignment once I post the answers. Okay, but I want to post the answers so that people know if they're doing it right or not. So if you want to wait until tomorrow to take the 8.2 quiz, that's fine. You just need to have it done by Wednesday. And then we're going to have a complex patterns of inheritance practice problem, just like, or a sheet of them, just like we did with the regular Punnett squares. And I'm going to post those problems, and I'm going to post some example work that goes along with it. Okay, let's quickly go through this. I've posted, I didn't do Google Slides again since we've been going with just look using our book. Your book actually covers this section fairly well, so we'll keep going with that. So I did upload my images, and we're going to walk through these one at a time. All right, so basically what this section is saying is that when Mendel did his experiments with genetics, he focused on very simplistic traits that only had two potential outcomes. Like the pea pods were either smooth or wrinkled. The colors were either purple or white. But as we look around, we notice that it's not so black and white in terms of the traits that people show. There are many, many varieties of the traits that we see. And so more than what am I trying to say? It's more common for genes to follow these types of patterns of inheritance that we're going to talk about today than the Mendel ones that we talked about in the last section. All right, so what does this look like? Well, there's more than this, but the four we're going to talk about, the four patterns or complex patterns of inheritance that we're going to talk about are codominance, incomplete dominance, multiple alleles, and polygenic inheritance. Okay, so let's get through. Basically, in all of these situations, like I just said, we don't have a straightforward dominant and recessive situation going on. All right, so the first one is incomplete dominance, and your book down here shows an example of incomplete dominance. And so just by looking at this example, you can see basically a summary of what does incomplete dominance mean. Incomplete dominance means that both colors, both alleles, are equally dominant or equally recessive. So you have a red flower, red snapdragon, and a white snapdragon. And since neither red nor white is dominant over the other, when you cross these two flowers, you end up with pink. You end up with a blended color of the red and the white. And as you noticed, one thing that's different from how we were notating this last week was we now have two capital letters for red and two capital letters for white because they're both dominant. They just don't have dominance over the other. And so the hybrids, the RWs, are this intermediary color, this pink. All right, so when you think of incomplete dominance, think of a blended color, a blended trait. You don't see either individually, you see a blending. And so up here I showed what these genotypes look like, right? RR is for red, WW is for white. Both are capital. And the hybrid RW is pink. All right, codominance. Codominance is like incomplete dominance in that like for instance down here with the chickens, you have a chicken with black feathers, and we designate that as capital F with a superscript of B to say black feathers. And then you have a chicken up here that has white feathers, and we designate that with 2F with a superscript of W. And when we cross a black and a white chicken, we get a bird with black and white feathers. And so the way that this is different from incomplete dominance is if this was an incomplete dominance situation, if I crossed a white with a black, I would get gray chickens. But I don't get gray chickens in codominance. I get black and white chickens. I get chickens with black feathers and white feathers. And so the hybrid in this situation is F superscript B, F superscript W. All right, so that is codominance. Both of these colors show up on the offspring in codominance. Both of the colors are blended in incomplete dominance. All right, moving on. Multiple alleles. So some genes, I'm just going to read what it says at the beginning of this paragraph because it's pretty straightforward. Some genes have multiple alleles, which means that 3 or more possible alleles determine the trait. Think eye color in humans. There are not just 2 choices. Eye color in humans would be an example of multiple alleles. Your book gives the example of bunny fur. And so the point is, even though there are more than 2 alleles for this gene, each individual can still only inherit 2. So even if there are 5 potential alleles, each offspring is only going to inherit 2. And so with multiple alleles, you have more genotypes, more combinations that are available. And as a result, you have more phenotypes. They're going, like it says here with the bunny fur. Depending on which 2 alleles a rabbit inherits, its coat can range from brownish gray to all white. And that's true with human eye color too. In general, people have, blue eyes or brown eyes, but then we also have hazel, which is a little bit of a mixing of color. You have green, you might have blue-green. So I would say eye color is a good example of multiple alleles in humans. Polygenic inheritance. Polygenic inheritance, again, I'm just going to read what the book says. Polygenic inheritance occurs when more than one gene affects a trait. So you have the alleles of different genes working together to produce the trait. And the example they give in your book, which is a good one, is human height. You have a range of human heights, right? You have multiple genes working together to give you your ultimate height. And another example the book gives is the timing of flowering. So you have a range, if you plant seeds of the same type of flower all on the same day, they're not going to all flower at exactly the same time. There is a range of time over which those plants will flower. And so that's polygenic inheritance. You have multiple genes working together to produce the trait. I do want you to I want you to do this little side exercise, this bling wing. It says that an organism can inherit only 2 alleles for a gene. What are the 6 possible pairs? So they say right up here, an imaginary insect has 3 alleles for wing color, red, blue, and yellow. And so what are the combinations, what are the potential combinations of alleles that an offspring of this animal, this fictitious animal, can have? And so depending on the alleles of the parents, the offspring could be RB, which would be red-blue, RR, red-red, BB, blue-blue, yellow-yellow, blue-yellow, and red-yellow. And it's basically just saying if these are the 3 potential outcomes for wing color, what combination of 2s can I make? What combination of 2s can I make? All right, and down here it says, suppose the 3 alleles cross out in your book. It says they're codominant. they're not codominant. What they're asking for is incomplete dominance. So suppose the three alleles show incomplete dominance. What wing color would each of these pair of alleles produce? So they give you one. RB would give you purple because red plus blue equals purple. RR would give red because you only have red genes. BB would be blue because you only have blue genes. YY would be yellow. Again, only yellow alleles, only yellow genes. BY would be green because blue plus yellow equals green. And RY would be orange because red plus yellow is orange. If this was truly codominance, you would not, R and B would not be purple. R and B would be red and blue splotched wings or red and blue striped wings. You'd have both red and blue showing up, just like you did with the chickens, right? I have a white chicken and a black chicken, and I get white and black feathers. And so this is wrong in your book. Make sure you change that. This is actually, they're talking incomplete dominance. All right. I'm going to go through this next section pretty quickly because it's, in my opinion, it's pretty straightforward. The way that genes are expressed in humans is, and actually all organisms, is a combination of both what genes they inherit from the parent as well as environmental factors. Okay. And so sometimes, like this woman with the red hair, this is not an inherited trait. She decided to dye her hair red. Just like the way that these bushes are shaped, right? Someone came along and cut the bushes into those shapes. They did not grow that way naturally. And they talk about here how genes, how the environment plays into how genes are expressed. And I'm going to go back to our example of the sunflowers. Remember we talked about planting the same, or your book did at least, and I mentioned it. Here you have sunflowers, and this is an example of polygenic inheritance. You have these sunflowers planted, and in general, they're going to flower around 60 days. But because multiple genes are being used to determine how long it's going to take to flower, some might flower as early as 45 days. Other ones may take 75 days. There's a range. Another thing to think about, though, is, and let me move my book down, when we are looking at situations with plants, there's factors in the environment that are also going to influence that plant's ability to flower. The amount of rain, the amount of sunlight, the soil. So those would be environmental factors that are influencing the expression of the trait, the expression of the flowering. All right, so that's basically the extent of the second part of this chapter or section. I think if I were you, I would just concentrate on the first half, making sure you understand those 4 different types of patterns of complex inheritance. Make sure that you do your worksheets, both of them for the 5.2 Punnett squares and then the one for today. I am planning on having our test on this next Wednesday. So we are going to wrap this section up, do some extra practice, and then next Wednesday we're going to do the test. So plan on that. Then we go on spring break and we'll all have a break. But that's what we're going to plan on. All right, let me know if you have questions. I hope you guys have a good Monday, and tomorrow we do Achieve, and I will see you hopefully in our Zoom session on Wednesday. All right, guys, bye.